welcome back to Unicorn Dust Designs. My name is Sammy. This is Montgomery. On this channel, we do DIYs with signs, and there's always tons of laughter to be had. So if you think that's something that you would like, then stay tuned because I have some awesome DIYs for you today.
We're going to start out with this silver tray that I got at Salvation Army, and I'm going to give it a good coat of this matte clear by Rust-Oleum. I feel like when you have a slick surface like this, it just helps having something for the paint to attach to. Sorry about my awesome filming while doing over here. My Salvation Army has an entire section full of just all this silver stuff, and they're usually a tan tag, so when that goes 50% off, I usually get like the most like ornate things I could find. So now that it's nice and matte, I am going to grab White Swan by DIY Paint, and I am going to use a synthetic brush for this. And the reason I'm going to do that versus using like a chippy brush like I usually do is because I want to I don't want the paint brush strokes, and this is going to give me a little bit smoother of a finish on this. All of my DIY paints, you guys know the drill, will be down in the description box. I get them from upcycledbybrie.com. And after I'm done with this, I'm not going to paint the back because we are going to distress this down. You're going to see the silver peeking through, so I didn't feel a need to paint the back. I'm going to do 2 coats of this. I'm going to completely let it dry. Then I am going to grab my polyacrylic, or sorry, I'm going to sand it first. I'm taking just a rough sanding sponge from Dollar Tree, and I'm going to just de-stress it down so that you can see some of that silver and some of that detail. Look at how pretty that is. I'm gonna go all excuse me, you guys. I'm gonna go all around the edges, and then I tried to get inside to hit some of those little humps you see on there. I tried my best, but it didn't come out as distressed as I would have liked it. So now that that's done, I clean it off. I'm going to take my water-based polyacrylic. You want to make sure you're using water-based so it doesn't yellow your paint. And then I go and use a chip brush anyways. Oh my gosh. Okay, so I'm going to be using an Iron Orchid Designs transfer. On their transfer sheet, they say to clear your piece first. Now, I know that you don't have to clear it, but I rather be safe than sorry. So I'm going to take my transfers, and I already knew when I saw this transfer book that this transfer had to go on this silver tray. Now I get my transfers, all my IOD stuff from Bonda at thepaintedheirloom.com. I always leave her link down in the description box. And if you're a new customer, then use Unicorn10 for a discount. So I am cutting this down. I couldn't fit the last part on, but I'll save that, and you never know, I could use it later. Now, learn from me, you guys. I think because I had put the clear on and I literally just dried it with my heat gun and then went straight for the transfer, it started bringing up my paint. So I would say let your clear coat cure for a little bit and then go in with your transfer. So you can see I am just using one of my vinyl spatula, I don't know what these are called, things. You could also, they come with like a little plastic thing to rub them down. I always prefer lifting my transfer up as I am pulling back on it. I feel like it helps release the transfer a little more. Now, I know not everybody is going to be able to go afford to get this. You could always just take the bones of this and you can use, decoupage. You can print on your printer and do the Mod Podge hack of transferring your image. So just use the bones of this. If IOD is something that's not in your budget right now, that's totally fine. I'm here to inspire and give you guys ideas, and then you can go and make them your own. So now that I am done and this has completely released, I'm going to take a piece of that carrier paper and I am going to burnish this on. So what I'm doing right here is I'm just kind of pressing that in to my paint. I'm making sure it's all down and it's not going to pill up or go anywhere. And then I clear it with some matte. And you guys, look at how gorgeous. Seriously, when I saw this in the release, I thought of this silver tray right away, and it looks gorgeous on here. It is so fitting. Let me know if you think this was a good image for this tray. All right, I found these at Savers, and I was like, well, first off, I mean, they're perfect. They're wood. There's nothing you can't do with wood, y'all. So I'm gonna take these off. I took them outside and I completely sanded the top off. I didn't, you guys, I just had to show you this. So, you know, when you see something on Pinterest, it said take acrylic latex caulking and you can use it to make, you know, molds, all that stuff. And then, I mean, that's all I really saw on Pinterest. I didn't actually read the Pinterest post. So I had my husband pick this up for me. I start doing it. One, it is a complete mess. Then I start reading the caulking tube, or what is this? Yeah, it's caulking. And it says it takes like 5 to 7 days to dry. I just thought I would show you guys my little oopsie there, okay? All right, so now I'm taking, this is the new IOD Christmas molds. I am taking cornstarch and I am going to put that in my molds. This is going to help release the clay or whatever you're using from your mold. So I am trying a different clay this time. I am trying paper clay, and I have to say, I liked it a lot. It was super soft and it was easy to work with. I will say though, when you see me do these next ones, the snowflakes, it was so soft that at times when I was pulling the clay, you know, like across the image, it was kind of pulling it back up on me. So, and then you guys, if you guys actually read, you know, because I hardly do, I just say, oh, I can do that. On the IOG like molds on the back, it shows them using like a spatula over it to like press them down. And that's where I got this idea to use my little white thing here. Yeah, I was like, oh wow, this makes it so much easier. So you could see how it keeps kind of like lifting. It's just so soft. And I think that air dry clay kind of is heavier. I don't know. I'm not like a mold or clay expertise person, okay? But I got it to go down. I leave this to dry overnight in the mold. I read your guys' comments, and I was having a lot of issues with my air dry clay cracking, and y'all said leave it in the mold to dry. So that's what I did with the paper clay. And I have to say, this is going to sound so silly, but it really did look like I got paper and like wadded it up and wet it and let it dry. That sounds so silly because it's paper clay, so obviously. But anywho, so the little excess, like little bits that were hanging off, I just got my weeding tool and kind of like, what am I doing? Like pressing, kind of sanding it off with that. The details on these snowflakes are so fine that I could not get sanding paper in there. So this is how I chose to do it. Now I'm taking my Star Bond glue and I'm going to use this to adhere my molds. And the reason I'm doing this one instead of like the Tight Bond wood glue that I usually use or hot glue is because the glue is so thin on this one that I'm able to hit all of those little details, and it doesn't like come out from under it. So you could see how I'm able to get all those little tiny pieces, and then when I lay it down onto my wood piece, I don't have a bunch of it coming like out from under the mold. And then I also have the accelerator, and this I was able to like push down on the mold, spray this, and then it like instantaneously dries when it hits that. So as you can see, I only sanded the top of these. I wanted that beautiful old like stained wood still on there. I'm going to take some painter's tape off those edges, and then I'm going to grab, I think this color is Sailor by DIY Paints, and I am going to take a stencil brush from Dollar Tree, and we are going to apply this to the top. Now, I didn't, of course, like I usually do, want the brush strokes. So I start stippling this on. And if you guys have watched my channel before, then I'm sorry if it sounds like I repeat myself, but there might be new viewers on here. So I like to use this stencil brush because all of those little bristles, those wire hairs, they get into all of the little nooks and crannies, all of those beautiful details, so that none of that white is showing. And then you can see with the DIY paints, they're clay based, so they look dark when they're wet, but you can see as it's drying down, it shows up this beautiful soft blue, which I love. Now I'm going to grab my DIY white wax. Y'all know I'm obsessed with the wax, and I'm just going to dust it over the snowflakes. I do not want to touch the paint in the background. I really want these snowflakes to pop out at you. So that is why I chose to just do these snowflakes versus the entire piece. And you can just see all of that beautiful detail that comes out. It seriously shocks me how they're able to get all of these details into a mold. Crazy. Now I'm going to take the deer one, and I am going to take Cashew by Waverly, and I am going to do the same thing. Stencil brush, I'm going to start stippling around there to get all of those details in there. And then we are going to take the DIY dark wax. Look at this. It's delicious. And we are going to dust that over. Look at, oh my gosh, I love it. I just love how this stuff brings out all of the features of these molds. Anything that has texture on it, you guys know I'm all about. So then I just wipe the excess off with a paper towel, and that is good to go. And look at the framed out. Oh my gosh, I love it. Okay, now we're gonna put the tops back in there. And you guys, I know not everybody's gonna like just have these lying around. You can use real wood pieces like 1x4s cut up, or you could even use, Dollar Tree has some wood pieces kind of similar to this, and those hooks, they sell those at the hardware store. So there's another option if you don't have these. Now I'm cutting up my pillowcase that you guys see me use quite often. I'm going to take my IOD stamps, and I actually got this idea from Sonnet's Garden and Bloom. I forgot what she made, but she made tags like this, and I was like, okay, this is going to be the perfect little subtle addition to our, I'm gonna call them ornaments maybe. So I put my stamp on there. I'm gonna fray the edges with my weeding tool just so it doesn't look so clean and crisp. That's not my style whatsoever. And you guys, if you what am I doing now? Oh, and then I'm just gonna tie this on, and that's done. And you can use these in tiered trays. I even thought these would be great gifts, and you could put a personalized message on the back with paint pen, or even hand write it and then Mod Podge it to the back. Oh my gosh, how sweet of a gift would that be? And I think that they turned out so good. I'm all about the details on this one. I hope it inspired you to make this in some way or another.
What's up, everyone? I hope you are enjoying these DIYs so far. I am beyond excited to be working with the IOD Christmas collection this year. You are going to be seeing it more and more throughout my Christmas videos, so I hope it's your jam, because I'm definitely going to be working with them a lot. They're gorgeous. Make sure to check out the website. There's either, I get mine from paintedheirloom.com. Her link is always in the description box, or you could check ironorchiddesigns.com and find a local retailer to you. I wanted to give a shout out today because we are partnering together, CJ DIY and myself. She is so creative. If you guys like my vibe, you're totally gonna like her vibe. She is such a great person. Her personality is so amazing. She's so humble. She's so kind. And I know that you guys will enjoy her. So check her out down in the description box and let her know that I sent you. And she's going to have some amazing DIYs for you guys today as well. So you guys, you know the drill. If you're digging me, if you're digging this video, if you're digging the DIYs, then make sure to like, make sure to subscribe, and make sure to leave a comment. It lets YouTube know that you're digging this video, and then they're going to share it out to a bunch of people. Okay, you guys, let's get back into the rest of this video.
Now we're gonna grab that pillowcase once again, okay? You guys, save everything. You never know when you're gonna use it. I'm gonna grab this. This has been hanging around my basement for a long time. I think it was $4.99 at Savers. Savers is the jam now, you guys. Like, compared to Salvation Army and Goodwill, like, Savers definitely has the better prices if you have one in your state. So I'm gonna pull this all out. We are not touching that frame. That frame is gorga, okay? Now I'm gonna take that glass piece. I like how I used my rotary blade. It was so dull. I was trying to be fancy for you guys. That's what I was trying to do. I was like, look at me. I like have sewing tools. I didn't even know what to call it. Okay, so sorry, you guys. I ended up just using my fabric scissors and cutting it out. You want to make sure that you're using some kind of, you want overlap on this, because you can also do this with a picture frame as well if you do not necessarily have one of these. So I'm going to use some tape and tape it down. Then I'm going to grab another transfer. I was on like a black and white kick right here, you guys. But it's definitely my style, this like neutral color background with the black, totally my style. Now I'm just trying to find the position of where it would show in the frame. Now, these transfers have tack on them, so it is sticking to my fabric. Then I use this little plastic thing. It was working, but I switched it up to this metal like spatula, and let me tell you, man, once I switched it to that, this transfer was adhering to the fabric so well. And you guys, you don't need to put anything on the fabric. Like, I didn't clear this. There's no paint on it, nothing. This transfer is just going directly on to this fabric, which is amazing. So you can use this on any type, I don't want to say any type of fabric because I don't know that, but a lot of different fabrics. Now, once I got that off, I did burnish it. I don't think I showed that. I did burnish it. Then I'm laying it on top of my glass piece. Now, I didn't get this super straight, but you know, I got it kind of straight. And when you're doing something like this, you want to get that fabric as tight as you can. So I'm starting with the top. I am going over, I'm just using hot glue, and then I'm going to pull that fabric down as hard as I can, and then apply another thing of hot glue, and I'm using my silicone spatula. I have like a 5-pack or something of these in my Amazon store, and I'm pulling that towards the center so that it's nice and tight. I'm going to do the same thing for the other side as well. And then I'm going to pop this back in. I don't know about you guys. You guys might have one of these in your home. My grandma always had one on her dresser with all of her perfumes in it. It's so nostalgic for me. And I'm definitely keeping this because of that. It just brings back memories of my childhood. And so I just put the inserts back in, and then we're done. I did not want to touch the frame at all. I thought it made it look regal. You could see it. It's a little crooked, but it's all right. It's mine. It adds pizzazz to it is what I'm going to say. But I think that it just looks really regal with the deer head and then those colors, and it's that patina on there. Oh, it's absolutely gorgeous. I love it. All right, now we're going to try something different. So I'm going to take this box. So I posted for my members asking them what I should do with this box, and I showed them the image I was going to use. Y'all said that you wanted me to keep the box basically as is. But you know how like when you ask like your spouse like, hey, where should we go for dinner? And they actually respond, and then you're like, no, let's go here for dinner. That's basically what I did with this, okay? So this is what it looked like before. if any of you guys were wondering. I'm going to take it outside, spray it with a red spray paint, and then I am going to clear it. Now I come back inside, I take my sanding block and I tried distressing the edges, but since I applied the clear coat to it wasn't really happening for me. So I do end up going in later and distressing it with white. Now I'm going to tape the inside of the frame off right here. And I am going to use that white swan by DIY. Now, make sure you always read the instructions when you are using IOD products so that they are used the right way. Now, here are the paint inlays, okay? These are absolutely amazing. So, I am going to cut as close to my image as I can. I already sized and make sure that it fit. Now I'm going to take a second coat of this paint. Now, when you are using paint inlays, you have to work fast. So you either need to hurry up and paint your piece or paint it in sections because this layer of paint needs to be wet. So what I did here was I did my second coat. I am working with a smaller piece, so I didn't necessarily have to do this in sections. Now you want this to be nice and a smooth coat. Now I take this paint inlay, I lay it on the wet paint, and essentially what these paint inlays are is it is a painted picture and it's going to infuse with that wet paint. And what I'm doing right here is spritzing it with water, and then I'm tapping it down. I'm wanting to make sure that I'm pressing that image into the wet paint. Now, the mistake I made was, one, I put too heavy of a coat of paint on, and then I was pressing so hard on my image that the paint was kind of like coming out from underneath my inlay. So just use a softer hand and you don't have to go so crazy with your coat of paint. Now that it is completely dry time will vary, we are going to take a spray bottle of water and you're going to spritz that again. This is going to help release that paper from the paint. So you're going to see right here how I bring it up. All right. And look at how that transferred on to our paint. Now, it might not be perfect and you might need to get the hang of it. Always as well keep this piece of paper because you could reuse these a second time. Now, they're not going to show up as vibrant as the first time, but you can use that a second time. Now, I was trying to fix my mistake because you could see like where my line of paper was because I pushed that paint out to the side. So what I did was I'm taking my spray bottle, I'm spritzing it onto my image, taking a paintbrush, and I'm going to almost like do like a stippling effect, I guess you could say, on it, and it's going to turn it into what looks like a watercolor. So these are just like the DIY paints, water soluble. So when I put on that water, it's activating that paint and then I'm able to blend it. And do you see how this almost looks like it's turning into a watercolor painting? Now, you don't have to do this. Your image could come out totally fine. Mine, I was essentially trying to hide the stuff going on the sides, and then was like, you know what, this looks really pretty blended in. So that's what I ended up doing, and here is the piece after everything was said and done. And I guess I didn't show, but I distressed obviously the frame of this with some white paint to tie it all in, and I love this. There are so many other paint inlays too, you guys, and you'll see more of them throughout the season for sure. But look at how beautiful that turned out. All right, this one, we're taking this Dollar Tree hanger from our summer collection thing, and I'm going to take the hanger off. This hanger was like the perfect color. Now this paper sucked. So once I peeled it off, like the first layer, there was all this white paper. What you're gonna do is you're gonna take a warm rag, set it on top of that for like 20 minutes. Then you're going to take either the towel, or I found using a sponge with like the rough back and going in circular motions completely took the paper off. This is what it looked like after it dried overnight. Now I'm going to take my crackle medium. This is Folk Art Crackle, and it's specifically for chalk paint. Take my chip brush, and I'm going to do even coats, trying not to make several passes over the coat. That didn't make sense. You want to just use one brush stroke. Okay, you don't want to overlap over and over because that'll ruin that crackle effect. Now I'm going to take my plaster by Waverly, and you can see how I'm just taking that brush and going across, well, except for here, I got chunks in there. I'm going across my piece. I'm not going over the same stroke over and over again. And I love this crackle medium, you guys. You see it working right away. I know there's Elmer's glue. I know there's tons of other options. This is just what I enjoy using. So now I'm taking those IOD stamps again, and I am going to be pressing them out. Now, when you, or if you get these stamps or have them, then you know they only come with one set. So what I like to do is place them out first, and then you have to go back in. So you could see I'm setting my A and my S again. I know they're going to fit there because I already did my placement beforehand to make sure they fit. And then I'll put that ink on there and then press them once again. And look at how crisp that is. And just so you can see what I'm talking about, for those of you who haven't seen me use these stamps, I am going to take all of them out that I need. So this is going to say Santa's Magic Key, and I'm going to place them on my piece first. Now you can see I placed the hook back on there so I know where I can put these letters. Then I take this is actually a cutting mat. I'm going to take my ink, pat it, and then we will put that on. Now I got this huge set of keys. It's from Amazon because when I first started my wood sign business, I made a bunch of these Santa's Magic Key signs. So that's in my Amazon store if you guys want these keys. And then I'm just going to tie some ribbon to it. And you guys, I thought this Santa's Magic Key was nice for those that maybe don't, like a grandma or an aunt or something that doesn't really have kids living in the house, so they don't want that kitty looking Christmas stuff, but they still want to bring like the magic to the home for their, for their grandbabies or their nieces or their nephew, or even if you're a mom or dad or whatever and you don't like the kiddie-ish stuff. This is a great way of still bringing that magic of Christmas into your home, but making it look a little bit more mature. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Please make sure to check out CJ DIY. I know that you guys will enjoy her, and let me know down in the comments which one ended up being your favorite.
All right. Since you won't sit down by yourself for a little bit, you have to be in it with me. All right, we're gonna make this. Are you just totally focused on yourself? Hello. Okay, let's do this. Do. You're so funny. Okay. All right, what's this? What's that? Wait. Hi. No. 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 Oh. So it's like, well, what are you doing? Okay, let's go.